Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. So let me stop you right there, I know what you're thinking. The documentaries did win the poll, don't worry, that video will be out next week. But man, these documentaries are heavy to watch. But in the meantime, let's go with the second option, which is horror games that were released on the Nintendo Wii. So I recently did a video game covering horror games on the DS where I was actually able to play most of the games. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more convoluted with the Wii, setting up a device that replicates the platform. And also obtaining these games would probably put me back a few couple $1,000s. Nintendo Wii horror games for some reason are so expensive and I'm not willing to put out the money for that. But I actually have played some of these in the past, so luckily I can give my insight, but this video will be more of an informative one instead of opinion based. So sit back, relax, and I'm going to tell you about some horror games that maybe you haven't heard of that came out on the Nintendo Wii. So let's start off with some of the games that I did play back in the day so I can kind of give you my opinion on them. I've covered this game before, but I'm going to bring it back up again because it's perfect for this video. There was a horror game released on the Nintendo Wii named Ju-On the Grudge, or the Haunted House Simulator. Ju-On the Grudge is a horror game developed by Feel Plus, and it was published by AQ Interactive, released in 2009. It is based on the popular Japanese horror films, which you've probably seen, they're so iconic, with the same name, Ju-On. And this game was designed to be more of an interactive horror experience rather than a traditional game, focusing on replicating the feeling of being in a horror movie. Also, with these games, I will be covering some fun facts and some unique features that break them apart from other horror games that you could play on your Xbox per se, that make them different on the Nintendo Wii. And one of the main features about the Wii, obviously, is the motion controls. And Ju-On uses those to a point where it used to scare the hell out of me when I was a kid. Basically, you use the Wii remote as a flashlight. And I used to play this game with the lights out. I used to sit there in front of my TV and I used to just hold my remote out, my hand shaking like Luigi in Luigi's Mansion. And I was absolutely terrified of this game as a kid. I was so scared of it, in fact, that I couldn't even get through the first mission and I sold it back to GameStop. I talked about this before and I'm so mad that I sold it because one, I would absolutely love to have this game in my collection that I currently have, but also it is so expensive to buy back. It was such a regret. I feel like I sold it out of spite. Another fun part about this game is that it had a co-op feature where you gave someone else a controller and they would click buttons and they would jump scare you. I remember playing this with my brothers. It was so much fun, but unfortunately, my little baby brain was mad at the game and sold it back. The thing is, when this game did come out, it actually got mixed to negative reviews. Critics appreciated the game's atmosphere and faithful adaptation of the film's horror elements, but they found the gameplay to be super simplistic and repetitive. And to that, I will say it is absolutely correct. But as you know how gaming goes, a really dog shit game can release in the past, and then like 5 years later, everyone just considers it a hidden gem, which honestly isn't really fair to the developers that this happens. But because of that, this game has attracted a very niche audience of horror enthusiasts. I actually have seen a resurgence of this game. A lot more people are talking about it because it is such a weird little niche thing that came out. But yeah, if you have a Wii and like $100 to spare, check it out, I guess. So Silent Hill Shattered Memories is the next game that I played, and this is where it ends for games that I have played. Luckily, I did not sell this game back. It is actually currently a part of my collection right now, and I'm so happy that I kept it because once again, this game is expensive. So Silent Hill Shattered Memories is a psychological horror game that was developed by Climax Studios and published by Konami. Released in 2009, it is a reimagining of the original 1999 Silent Hill game. It features a completely overhauled storyline, characters, and gameplay mechanics. The game follows Harry Mason, which sounds like a joke name, as he searches for his missing daughter Cheryl in the eerie town of Silent Hill. Unlike the original game, Shattered Memories incorporates a strong psychological elements, with the story and environments changing based on the player's actions and decisions. The coolest part about this game is the intro. Basically, the game begins with a psychological profile questionnaire, and it continues to adapt based on the player's responses and behavior, altering the game's events, environments, and characters. So let's say you and your friend play this game. You meet up at school the next day, and you might have completely different stories about what you saw and what you experienced. Now, unlike the previous Silent Hill entries, this game has zero combat. Think of it like an Outlast. You have to hide, you have to run from your enemies, and it really does create like a constant sense of vulnerability throughout the game. Now, overall, I wouldn't say that Shattered Memories is the scariest Silent Hill game, but it definitely is the most interesting in my opinion. It was super ambitious with the way it has a dynamic world and everything changes around you. And I actually found the Wii controls to be quite intuitive in a clunky world of Wii controls. This might be a very niche fun fact, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard the game Her Story, but basically the director of Silent Hill Shattered Memories, Sam Barlow, also made the game Her Story, and he also had some part in the game Silent Hill Origins. I'm actually kind of working in the background on a video of playing every single Silent Hill game, so eventually I'm gonna have to get back around to playing this one, but until that time comes, I'm still on Silent Hill 2, and it is a banger. I love it. Silent Hill Shattered Memories received very positive reviews when it came out. Critics praised its innovative approach to psychological horror, the effective use of the Wii's motion controls, and the game's atmosphere and storytelling. However, there were chirps of some longtime fans who were divided over the departure of the traditional gameplay mechanics, so I can completely understand that aspect of unfamiliarity kind of messing with your perspective, but overall, I think it is a great game. I don't think removing combat adds or takes anything away from the game. I feel like it's its own entity, it's its own thing, and I think it's awesome. So overall, this is just a great game. I really suggest playing it no matter which way you can play it. This game also came out on PlayStation 2, PSP, PlayStation Portable, so there's other ways to check out the game, and I definitely recommend doing it. Now we are going to be moving into the category of games that I did not play, so this will be more informative. Now this next game is called Calling, and this one really pissed me off. I wanted to play this game so bad just because one of the main features of this game, you use your Wii remote as a phone. You guys remember when you would play with your Wii and oh, that did not sound right. When you would play with the Wii and then you would hear this little voice come out of the shitty speakers on the Wii remote. I always thought to myself that it kind of sounded like a really crappy phone. And this game implements exactly what I thought, and I'm kind of upset I haven't been able to play it. Calling is a psychological horror game developed by Hudson Soft and released in 2009. The game revolves around a mysterious website known as the Black Page, which allegedly causes the death of anyone who visits it. Players take on the roles of various characters who become trapped in a limbo-like world after visiting the site, and they must uncover the truth behind the Black Page to escape. So The Calling definitely seemed like the most interesting game out of all the ones that I looked at today just because of the Wii Remote phone aspect. I think the Wii remote being used as a cell phone in the game really enhances the immersion by like allowing players to receive calls and hear these ghosts through the speakers of their Wii remote. Imagine playing that at like 3 in the morning. That is insane. One of the cool aspects of this game is that it features numerous references to Japanese folklore and urban legends. And if you know me, you know my channel, that's right up my alley. I love urban legends. When the game was released, it did receive mixed reviews. Most critics praise its eerie atmosphere and the way the Wii remote was used, but they were talking trash about the pacing and the occasional technical issues. But overall, it has since developed a cult following among fans, and I can see why completely. Just watching some gameplay of this, it looks so much fun to play in a dark room with some friends over. Now let's move on to our next game. So this one is called Cursed Mountain. Cursed Mountain is a survival horror game developed by Deep Silver and released in 2009. Set in the Himalayas, the game follows Eric Simmons, a mountaineer searching for his lost brother. As Eric ascends the mountain, he encounters supernatural forces and uncovers ancient mysteries. Off the top of my head, I can't even think about how many games take place in the Himalayan mountains. So overall, the fact that that is the setting of the game really makes it stand out from the rest of the horror games, not just on the Wii, but just in general. Instead of typically focusing on Western supernatural themes, this game actually incorporates elements of Buddhist mythology and rituals. So much to the point where developers actually conducted extensive research on Buddhist mythology and culture to create an authentic and respectful portrayal. So when the game was released, Cursed Mountain actually received very positive reviews, mostly praising its atmosphere, its unique setting, and its incorporation of Buddhist themes. The only downside that I could really find online were that the controls were a little bit clunky at times, but honestly, what wasn't kind of clunky on the Wii? The thing that sticks out the most to me about this game, just looking at the images and watching some reviews, is the enemy design. This looks absolutely insane. It definitely seems like a really creepy atmospheric game, so if you're a fan of those, I would say check this one out. And if you have played any of these, definitely let me know in the comments because I'm super interested to hear what you think about these games. So now let's move on to the next game on this list. So I actually lied to you guys. There is another game in here that I literally just remember right now that I actually did play. And I was trying to keep these games exclusively to the Nintendo Wii, but I already broke that rule by talking about Silent Hill, so we're going to be talking about Manhunt 2. So Manhunt 2, just talking about it, might get my whole entire channel demonetized, and I don't even know if I would really consider this game a horror game, but there definitely are some horror elements. There are two things I specifically remember about this game when buying it. One, I had to lie to my mom and tell her it wasn't that fucked up. And two, I remember the GameStop employee reminding my mother how fucked up this game was. This dude was really trying to throw me under the bus. He literally was like, have you seen it on the news? There's kids killing each other in real life because of this. I'm like, bro, calm down. Anyway, I bought the game, went home, and I cut someone's head off. I think what made this game so controversial is just you're basically performing the act of actually killing someone. It sounds crazy out loud, but it's like really not that deep. Obviously, video games don't make people violent. Violent people are just violent. That's how it is. And another thing I remember is being so disappointed about this game because the executions, they put so many filters over the screen just to get this game released that I had no idea what the fuck was going on the whole time. The best way to describe it is swinging a samurai sword in a laser light show. I had no idea what the fuck I was hitting, but I was hitting something. So I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell you how controversial this game really was when it came out, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So Manhunt 2 obviously is the sequel to the first one, which was super controversial in its own right. Around that time, Rockstar Games was really pushing the envelope for things that could be released on games, almost laughing in the face of the media, and honestly, I was all for it. So the original version of Manhunt 2 was actually so violent that it initially received an adults-only rating, and that is a huge no-no. You do not want an adults-only rating. So to achieve a more viable rating, Rockstar actually put several alterations to the game, including blurring the execution scenes and toning down some of the violence. And yeah, they really blurred it. I know there's some mods on PC where you can release it, but I was a Wii child stuck on the Nintendo Wii. You see what I did there? So yeah, I had to look at that. And even as a kid, I remember the storyline was also really dark. The story follows Daniel Lamb, a mental asylum escapee, and Leo Casper, a fellow inmate. And along their journey, they uncover a conspiracy involving unethical experiments. The game's plot involves themes of insanity, mind control, and psychological manipulation. This game is very psychologically mentally taxing. If you play it, just keep that in mind. And like I said before, the game received widespread negative media attention. Many news outlets and public figures condemned it for its graphic violence and potential impact on players, particularly younger audiences. And because of this game, some politicians called for stricter regulations on video game content and questioned the impact of violent games on real-life behavior. In some regions, Manhunt 2 actually was just outright banned. They said, you're not even touching our children. What? I really need to start scripting these videos because what just came out of my mouth? The British Board of Film Classification initially refused to classify the game, effectively banning its sales in the UK. It was only after significant cuts and alterations that the game was eventually released in the United Kingdom. Various retailers in the US and other countries chose not to stock the game due to its controversial nature.
Tonight, a violent video game pulled from store shelves.
Manhunt 2 has been the target of criticism since its release a week ago. Now Target is doing something about it. The Minnesota-based retailer stopped selling the game today, and Jason DeRush explains what it is about this game and why another local...
But despite the controversy, Manhunt 2 has maintained a cult following among fans of the horror and stealth genres. Its notoriety has cemented its place in video game history as an example of the limits of acceptable content in mainstream gaming. And I don't even know if we can classify this as a win for us because they did have to censor a lot of the game just to get it released. I can make a whole video about this game. I think it is so interesting when it comes to the history of video games and the ESRB rating system. But you know what? Yeah, maybe I might save it for another video. And yeah, with that being said, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this one. The next video will be the documentaries. And quickly, like I always do, I just want to thank you guys for the amount of support you've been giving me. I really can't believe our channel is growing this much. Did I say munch? I can't believe our channel is growing this much. Each and every time I upload, I love reading all of your comments, and I can't wait to read them on this video. If you made it this far, in the comments, randomly say, let's say Eggs Benedict in the comments if you've gotten this far. Confuse everyone else. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I showed you some new horror games that you haven't heard about. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night, great day, and peace out.